What's up, y'all? It's your girl Danielle, better known as Prototype. As you can see from the channel name change, you would be familiar with that if you are a returning person. If you are not, welcome to the channel. As you can see from the title today, I am going to be going over tips for coloring locks. So a little bit of stuff on bleaching, but a lot of tips more so on coloring and just the application of it. So I figured why not give you guys a 2-in-1 and take down my hair as well. I actually just dyed my hair yesterday. I went through this long process. I haven't dyed my hair since October, so it was getting really faded, and I decided to both bleach and color my locks. I've colored my own but never bleached it, so yesterday was the full wham sham shabam. So in the meantime, I'm gonna be taking down my braid out, like I said, 2-in-1, and don't judge me. Yeah, so you can see they're really vibrant, really colorful. Love my green to be vibrant like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So protection is just super important. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is protecting your hands. As you can see, don't judge my nails, I have green all under my fingernails now. Not because I didn't use gloves, but because I didn't have a second pair of gloves for when I was actually rinsing the color out. So I had gloves for the bleaching process, for the bleaching application process. I had gloves for the color application process. I threw those out because of course there's wet and stained with color, and then I didn't have any gloves for the rinsing out process. So you want to make sure you have, you know, a box of gloves on you. I didn't realize my gloves were running out, so that's what happened there. But you want to make sure that you have an adequate amount of gloves on you to make sure that you're able to kind of protect your hands. I'll also say the second tip is that you want to make sure you're wearing some type of clothing that you don't mind getting messy. This process is super messy, guys. I mean, it's a liquid. The dye is pretty much a liquid consistency, and just imagine what happens when you brush your teeth or when you flush the toilet or just stuff like that. You know, those little specks of water or little specks of liquid go everywhere. They go places that you can't even see. But only thing with dye is you will be able to see those little specks of whatever on your walls. I would also say, so aside from the gloves, aside from the nightgown, I would say ensure that you have like a towel wrapped around you. I actually had some clips. Look at me trying to clip my neck. I had some clips, so I just put the towel around me and then clipped it much like a stylist would. Even with gloves, the dye still ended up here somehow. So yeah, you want to make sure, I mean, protection is top notch. No matter what, you're still going to end up with stuff in places you didn't want it, but the less the better. So aside from that, you also want to ensure that you are protecting your scalp and your skin. So, you know, some type of Vaseline or protective cream to go around the perimeter of your head, to go around your edges pretty much, because, you know, these dyes are, you know, I'm not too familiar with temporary dye, but semi-permanent, demi-permanent, permanent, you know, bleach, you really don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. You don't want that kind of stuff to end up on your skin. So yeah, protective cream is definitely a must. You also want to ensure that you are protecting your scalp by not irritating it the day before or that day of. Anybody who's here, I'm sure, is natural or locked, so you are familiar with natural hair. Those who are familiar with relaxers knows that when you were about to get a relaxer, you wanted to make sure you was not about to wash your hair that day or the day before. You did not want to irritate your scalp, because you know that when that relaxer got applied, you were going to be on fire. Your head was going to burn from the chemical and the scalp irritation. It will burn. So please make sure not to wash your hair before you bleach it. Not that day, not the day before. You really just don't want to irritate the scalp in any way prior to applying chemicals to it. Let me see what else. Protection. Look, protect everything. Like I said, the specks of liquid get all over your surfaces. I actually had my color in a bowl, and it was on top of my sink, and then I had towels on the floor because I'm thinking it may drip from my hair to the towel that's on me, but it also my floor might catch it. So I had 2 big towels on the floor, and even still my sink got it. My sink got wet up, so I would definitely advise that underneath that bowl of color you also place another towel. Also, if you do end up getting stained all over and stuff like that, I don't know if you have this on hand, a lot of people don't, but Koji acid soap helps a lot. It's like an orange bar of soap. It's like a skin lightener in a sense, to help with blemishes and things like that. And so I keep some of that on hand, and it really works really well when I end up with color all over my skin or just in places I didn't want it. Alright, so aside from protection, moving on from protection, you want to ensure that you are sectioning the hair. It's pretty difficult. It was one thing to do it with relaxed and natural hair back in the day, but it is a completely another beast to dye your locks. I mean, they just seem, I don't know if it's just me, but they seem thicker, less penetrative, less porous, even though they are, I don't know. Anyways, they seem thicker, and you know, you just don't know if the color is really sinking into the locks in the way that you want them to. I have heard of people squeezing the color into their locks. I choose not to do that, just because once you finally rinse the color out, it's already so much. You kind of have to be under the faucet for a good amount of time to make sure that it's like rinsing all the way out. And I feel like if you squeeze the color in the locks, it just kind of makes that a little bit more difficult. But yeah, dyeing locks is completely different beast. I swear on my life, it's just different. And like, there were so many times throughout the process that I was like, dang, I'm never doing this again. And I might be dramatic, y'all might not feel that way, but you definitely want to make sure you're sectioning your hair. Hard to articulate this one, but where you begin your hair will usually turn out the lightest, because of course you get this section done, you move on to this one. Of course, while you're doing this one is sitting, it is processing, it is taking, and as you finish this one, you move on to this one is processing, taking, all the while this one is too. So you just want to be really mindful of that, because if you start in the back, like I did, the back is going to turn out much lighter. So, you know, you just want to be mindful of what your desired effect is, what your desired result is. If you want the top to be brighter than the back, you want to start in the front. If you want the back to be brighter, you want to start in the back. If you want it to be even, you want to ask for help. Okay, you want to ask for help so that you're not taking too long getting across the entire head. I took forever, and that is probably why I won't do it again, because I just felt like I couldn't get an even consistent application with it just being me. Another tip to add on to that is that your roots always take faster than the shaft and the ends of your hair. So ideally you want to do the shaft or the end, you want to work from bottom to top. So you want to do the ends and the shaft of your hair and do that all over. You want to return and start going through every section of your hair and getting the roots. The roots will always take faster because the heat from your scalp helps the chemicals process. So I know you guys have probably seen people who have tried to go red with their hair and their scalp or roots ended up completely like bright orange. That's because of the processing that happens faster at the root. So you just want to be aware of that. What else? You know, if you can, do avoid dyeing your hair in the summer. I am hard-headed, so I couldn't help it. But also, we dyed my hair kind of close to the summer last year as well. So like April, May-ish last year. So yeah, you just want to make sure you're not really dyeing in the summer or doing stuff that's too damaging. I'm going to add to that chemical one because y'all, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I actually thought of going to the pool yesterday after I did my hair. And I want to let you know right now, if you bleach your hair or dye your hair, do not decide to go to the pool the same day. If you can hold off a few days, that's awesome, because you just really don't want to mix chlorine with those chemicals. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't mean to sound so aggressive. I'm really just upset with myself for even having the thoughts and just knowing better that chemicals and chemicals just don't go together like that. Chlorine, bleach, dye, it's just not gonna work together like that. It's not gonna make you happy in the end. So don't do it. And then 2 last things. you want to know your desired lift when it comes to bleaching. You need to know how dark your hair is and how light it'll become. Now you can do that with strand tests. I actually did that with my strand. I did a strand test as well. I got a 30 volume developer because the store employee told me that was the best way to go. However, the 30 volume only ended up taking the black parts of my hair to like a deep brown or a dark brown, and like a copper brown, and that's not gonna help the hair get to my desired effect. I wanted it really bright, and because I wanted it really bright, I needed my hair to lift really bright. So the 30 volume developer is extra lift, I think it says, and then the 40 volume developer is maximum lift. If you are looking, and I saw somebody describe it as this, 30 volume is going to take your hair to a dark brown, or a blonde with a dark brown tint, whereas 40 volume is going to take your hair to a nice blonde with a yellow tint, and that's what I needed. So I ended up having to go back to the store several times, so you just want to be aware of that. And then to add to the summer comments, you want to try to avoid artificial heat as best as you can. If you can air dry the hair, that's awesome as well. Really awesome, just because it, like I said, you've already put chemicals in your hair. You've already kind of applied some damaging things to your hair. And so you just want to kind of try to avoid damaging things like artificial heat or like chlorine and things like that. It's not so bad to do those things one at a time, but you just don't want all of those things going on in your head at once. And that is actually my absolute last tip, you guys. I thought I had a little bit more for you, but clearly I am so slow and I can't walk and talk. So I didn't get this finished. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off the camera real quick, finish this up, let you see the end result, and I'll close out. Okay, I'm gonna do a full view, y'all. Why you bother me?